Now at 5, President Trump is set to land at Eppley Airfield within the hour. We will have team coverage following his visit. Good evening, I'm Jennifer Griswold. But first, a breaking news update. A stabbing at Burke High School before dismissal time. 2 students went to the hospital. Let's go live to Megan Hahn at Burke High School.
Dismissal here at Burke High School is typically at 3:05, but students are still being picked up here 2 hours later after a lockdown was prompted after a stabbing. OPD confirms a male and a female student were involved in a stabbing incident just before 2:30 this afternoon, and a knife was recovered from the scene. Those students were taken in critical condition to Bergen Mercy. The incident just happened just after 2:20 p.m., meaning Burke High School was placed under lockdown and there was no movement inside the school until officers cleared the area. OPD says a school resource officer was available to respond immediately to the incident. After lockdown was lifted, students were dismissed classroom by classroom and were allowed to leave the building. We caught up with some parents who say today's incident is concerning.
We should all be concerned about our kids. I mean, last thing we want is something like this at so close to home. But yeah, I'm very concerned, and we didn't get no call.
When we arrived here at Burke High School around dismissal time, we spoke with some parents who said they hadn't received notification from the school. OPS did send out a letter in an email saying, quote, staff were made aware that a student was in possession of a weapon inside the school. The school was immediately placed into lockdown. The letter went on to say that all after-school activities and practices were canceled for the remainder of the evening. Reporting live from Burke High School, I'm Megan Hahn, 3 News Now.
If you allowed the wrong people to get into office, things could change. They could change, and they could change fast. And we're not going to let that happen.
That was President Trump speaking at a Make America Great Again rally in Kansas over the weekend. Tonight, President Trump is on his way to Council Bluffs to continue his campaign tour. Air Force One will land at Eppley Airfield within the hour. The president will then travel to Council Bluffs to give a speech at the Mid-America Center. We have team coverage following the rally. Anchor Craig Negrelli is live at the Mid-America Center. Craig?
Well, Jen, you could say the festivities are underway. State lawmakers have been going up to the microphone here at the Mid-America Center, getting the crowd whipped into a frenzy. That's a state representative named Dawson who is talking to what he calls the deplorables, which drew a round of applause here at the Mid-America Center. The president expected to speak sometime around 6:30. This is the program of speakers. The Star-Spangled Banner, of course, got a very, very stirring round of applause from this audience. People are still streaming in. As you can see off to the side, there still are some open areas as people are entering on this rainy Tuesday night. Moments ago, I spoke with a couple of guys who flew in from Texas. They told me they're here for a couple of reasons. They believe that President Trump is on a winning streak with Brett Kavanaugh being confirmed to the U.S. Supreme Court. They believe with taxes going down as well as unemployment being below 4%, they're hoping to hear a positive message about the economy. They say there's a lot at stake in the midterm election that's 4 weeks from tonight on the second Tuesday, or should I say November 6th of 2018, in which the Republicans are hoping to maintain control of the House and Senate. Also, I spoke with a woman, a farmer from central Iowa. I asked her if she thought that President Trump was doing a good job for farmers at this point. She said no, but she said she believes he is standing up for Americans, and she believes the tariffs will eventually work. So a lot of people here hoping to hear a different message at the presidential rally. We are also expected to hear from Congressman Don Bacon, who's in a tough race with Democrat Carr Eastman. Perhaps as well Congressman David Young from western Iowa, who's locked in a tough battle with Democrat Cindy Axne. So the stage is set. The pre-speeches are underway. The crowd is still trickling in, but they are getting reared up, fired up, and ready to hear President Donald Trump when he arrives here in Council Bluffs. Live at the Mid-America Center, Craig Negrelli, KMTV 3 News Now. Jenny, back to you.
Thanks, Craig. Iowa Democrats held a rally in response to the president's policies ahead of his visit. Heartland Votes held the rally in Council Bluffs this afternoon. Party leaders calling on Iowa Democrats to head to the polls early, showing their unhappiness with current policies. They believe their push is working, bringing Democrats out in big numbers.
Yesterday we did dozens of events across the state. We saw people vote in all 99 counties. We saw people who are fired up, energized, and ready to go.
The group highlighted losses in farm income related to the trade war and renewable fuel standard waivers. In total, they say the trade policies have cost farmers more than $2 billion. And now let's go out to Epley Airfield, where senior reporter Jake Wazakowski is waiting for the president to arrive. Jake?
Jenny, it's a rainy evening here again. We are waiting for Air Force One. I'm going to get out of the shot as photographer Jeff Olson kind of pans around. The presidential motorcade is set and waiting. We have Secret Service agents out here as well as the Omaha Airport Authority tries to or waits for the plane to come in. We've seen, a few planes coming in and out, but pretty much clearing some of the airspace for the president to come down. We believe that he left about 2:45 Central Time from Washington, D.C., expected to be about a 2.5-hour stop here in the metro. We've been out on the tarmac for about 15 to 20 minutes at this point. Today, a busy day for the president as he accepts Nikki Haley's resignation as UN ambassador. And then also, the president approved an emergency declaration for Florida because of Hurricane Michael heading towards the Florida Panhandle. Now today, Senator Joni Ernst was one to praise a long-expected move lifting the federal ban on summer sales of gasoline with high ethanol blends that will allow year-round sales. And the president says it would be a boon to Iowa farmers. So we're still waiting out here, probably about another 10 to 15 minutes before Air Force One is expected to land. We will be here as that happens and bring you all the live coverage. Did a Facebook Live just a short time ago, kind of showing you the conditions. But again, just a rainy and windy one out here at Epley Airfield. Reporting live, Jake Wazakowski, 3 News Now.
All right, thanks, Jake. We'll check in with you again when the president lands there. President Trump is expected to announce a plan to get more ethanol in gasoline. Ethanol comes from corn. A lot of people view it as a more environmentally friendly alternative to petroleum. Gas can have up to 10% ethanol right now. The president wants to push the max to 15%. Trump's move will help farmers sell more corn to offset tariffs and low harvests. And we'll be streaming the president's remarks online and reporting live from the rally tonight. You can see all of our team coverage online at 3newsnow.com. And we saw it in Jake's live shot right there, but it is a rainy, wet, soggy day out there. Windy as well. Taking a live look outside, and you can see no breaks in those clouds, Jen. It's coming down.
Yeah, it certainly is. And as the president's heading into this region, there's a tornado watch that's in effect back to the west of us or east of us in Des Moines right now. There's also been multiple warnings that have been issued. That's not been on our viewing area, so we're looking at no watches being issued for us or warnings. Just the steady light to moderate rain continues to stream in over Omaha right now. Some heavy pockets, definitely between Council Bluffs and Omaha right now, south around DeBolt and even the Crescent area as we head further to the south along I-80 between Chalco, around Ralston, and even around the Offutt Air Force Base area. We're at 56 after a high today of 57. Here's our live Creighton University cam looking back to the west along 480. Obviously, visibility has been reduced. We're also looking at very wet roadways as the rain continues to come down, and now visibility is down to 2 miles. So that could cause some problems, obviously, with some travel across the region for this evening. Looking at our overall trend for the remainder of tonight, we will stay in the mid-50s here. As you'll notice, hour by hour, the rain chances start decreasing as we head into the late evening hours. I will have more on what's in store here for the next few days, more rain chances plus freezing conditions coming our way here over the next few days. Jenny?
All right, thanks, Jen. Celebrating diversity in the workplace, Woodman Life is doing this all year long by sharing stories from people in the Omaha area. This month, they are recognizing National Disability Employment Awareness. And today, a special guest came to talk about running and owning his own business. Reporter Alexa Ray joins us now for details. Alexa?
Jen, 18-year-old TJ McNew and his father Jim operate a bow ties and socks company out of their home. In many ways, McNew is like any other 18-year-old, but one thing that sets him apart is that he was born with Down syndrome.
We just want to spread happiness, selling socks and bow ties.
For father and son, Jim and TJ McNew, selling socks and bow ties with creative designs is more than a passion project. TJ was born with Down syndrome, and after he graduated from high school in May, his family wanted to help him find the right job for him.
TJ's always wanted to own his own business, and we figured this was a way to help TJ into his future, give him an opportunity to be his own boss.
The business launched in August, and since then they have sold more than 300 pairs of socks and 75 bow ties.
We're in for the long haul for TJ, and we're going to do whatever we have to do to make this business a success.
TJ says he has two goals with his business.
Make people happy.
And inspire them by sharing his story.
Celebrating diversity is something that we should be doing every day. It should be part of the air that we breathe. It's part of the culture.
Tuesday, TJ McNew shared his story with employees at Woodman Life as part of their company's initiative to build awareness of disabilities in the workplace.
We have an opportunity to be a place, to be one of Omaha's best places to work. To do that, we have to make sure that everybody knows that the doors are open, and we want to be a better organization.
Jim says as a parent, you want the best for your child, and he was happy he was able to help his son achieve his goals and give him the same opportunities as anyone else.
Grow up and enjoy the things that normal people get to do, because sometimes kids with disabilities get put on the sidelines.
Jim McNew says going forward, the family plans on giving back to Special Olympics and the Papillion School District. To help TJ in his efforts, Woodman Life gave the Papillion Schools Foundation $500 on behalf of TJ's company. In studio, Alexa Ray, 3 News Now.
The Omaha Police Department welcomed 58 new police recruits this morning. Police Chief Todd Schmaderer told the new class, "Don't take this responsibility for granted because we are not going to let this community down." The recruits will undergo 23 weeks of intense training prior to field training. Graduation is in March 2019. Leaders in Florida are telling people to evacuate now as Hurricane Michael is getting stronger and closer to the mainland. We'll have the details next.
And the rain continues to come down. It will start tapering off late tonight, and by tomorrow morning we finally start drying out. But our first freeze of the season coming our way. I'll let you know when after the break.
Happening right now, Congressman Don Bacon is speaking ahead of President Trump's rally at the Mid-America Center. Let's listen in for a moment.
Nancy Pelosi called them breadcrumbs. Let me tell you what these breadcrumbs did. I remember talking to a lady who got a bonus, and she's getting money back from her taxes. She was 2 months behind on her mortgage, and she paid off that mortgage and got caught back up. Those were breadcrumbs to Nancy Pelosi, but not to her. I talked to a man who wasn't able to take his new wife on a honeymoon because he couldn't afford it. He used that bonus to take that new wife, or his newlywed wife, on a honeymoon. That was not breadcrumbs to him. So don't buy that breadcrumbs. By the way, that tax reform, too, put our American businesses on a competitive playing field with the rest of the world. We were paying double and triple what other countries are paying, like Canada, Ireland, Europe, the Far East. Don't we want our companies to compete on a level playing field so we can win and compete on the global economy? And that's what this president, Donald Trump, and this is what this Congress, a Republican Congress, was able to do. We've restored our nation's military. From 2010 till last year, we cut our military 18% while we're fighting 2 wars. We had the lowest readiness rates since 1977, the Jimmy Carter era, the Hollow Force years. We've restored that funding by 60%. We got our military back on its feet. We've given pay raises to our military for the first time that matched inflation in almost 10 years. We stand by our men and women serving in our country, defending. We've given our VA more funding so we can take care of the veterans who've defended this country. We've given accountability so they can fire folks who are not performing. We've made it easy to hire people. And we've given choice so the veterans can see their local doctor, something that's taken decades to be able to do. We've funded opioid prevention, rehab. We've gone after human trafficking programs. But let me tell you something let's talk about something that's gone unheralded. Think about ISIS. 3 or 4 years ago, ISIS controlled a third of Iraq and a third of Syria. Today, they own a little speck of property in Syria. And why is that? Because we have brought in a great man in Secretary of Defense Mattis that's running our military operations. Secretary of Defense Mattis is a gift, and he's a great leader. You know what he said when he came in? He goes, we're not going to just go after ISIS and make them retreat. We're going to surround ISIS and annihilate them. And that's what needed to be done. So we've made some great progress, but we got more work to do. And this is where I want you to focus. We have to fix this healthcare problem that we have had. Our healthcare premiums have doubled over the last 10 years under ACA. We need to give more choice. We need to lower those premiums. We need to get those prescription drugs out on the market faster. But I tell you, the other side, they want to do a government takeover of health care that costs $32 trillion, that will double the federal tax burden, and will take away the health care that you like. So it used to be on the other side of the aisle, if you like your health care, you can take it or keep it. Now, if you like your health care, it's sorry, Charlie, we're going to take it and force you to a government-run program. Let's say we're going to have to vote against that in 4 weeks, make sure that does not happen. We also got...
Now, your weather alert forecast.
It has been another soggy, wet day across the area, and now some steady, heavy rainfall continues to move in. It has just been one round after another impacting us. Off to the east of us, we do have a tornado watch in effect. Does include Des Moines. We are looking at some warnings that have been issued, but all of that is out of our viewing area, not impacting us, but still that potential continues to the east of us. Right now in the metro, we have some spotty activity from around Omaha, lifting northward right now into the Old Market area. A little bit of a break as you head into Council Bluffs, but still some pockets of some heavier rainfall between Green Meadows, even around Millard, off at Air Force Base, even Ralston and Papillion right now. As we travel further to the south, there's another little surge that keeps moving northward over Elmwood. And as that continues to move in, that will keep the rain going throughout the evening hours. And it is a slow-moving area of low pressure. This is tapping a ton of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. All of this rain continues to stretch down to the south into Texas across the Arklatex region, and then lifting northward and spreading into parts of Minnesota, extending back to the west, switching over to snow over the western half of the state, even into eastern Colorado and parts of Wyoming. As far as how much we've seen so far, totals have been over a half an inch here in the metro. Some spots more than an inch, mainly to the south of us, and we'll just continue to see things filling up. That's why the flood watch remains in effect until Wednesday morning, but we do start to see a bit of a break in the activity. But the big story now is going to be switching over to tomorrow with drier air moving in and the potential for very strong wind gusts. We're looking at the winds topping out by tomorrow between 20 to 30 miles an hour. So very blustery conditions for tomorrow with very cold air settling in here. As we start the morning off in the low 40s, we rise only into the upper 40s, expecting a steady northwest wind 15 to 20 miles an hour and gusts between 20 to 30. Then as we go into early Thursday morning with clear skies, we're expecting morning lows to be dropping into the 30s. So some frosty conditions. That's when you need to start thinking about covering up your tender vegetation. So here within the next 36 hours, much colder air will continue to move in. Big story, too, for tomorrow with those strong gusty winds. And then you add in the air temperature. Wind chill readings for tomorrow will be in the upper 30s to near 40 degrees. So keep that in mind as the kids are heading to the bus stop. And even as they're coming home from school and you're heading out during the early morning commute, it is going to be extremely windy and very cold. We're at 56 right now. North winds at 15. Look at the humidity at 93%. A lot of rain across the area, and the rain chances are decreasing. We're down to about 20 to even 10% by early tomorrow morning. As drier air starts to move in, we'll see a drier start to the day, low 40s. In the afternoon, we may actually see some clearing, but that strong north wind blowing in, and highs in the upper 40s. The next 72 hours, this is where we go from 48 up to 50 after a low on Thursday of 35. Same thing for Friday, 46 on Friday, 30% chance for some rain across the area at this point, and expecting a slight chance Saturday into Sunday with highs in the 50s, 40s. So a very strong front moving in. Our first temperatures below freezing as we go into early Monday morning. We'll have more in just a moment.
Hurricane Michael is expected to hit Florida's panhandle tomorrow, and people are racing to get ready and get out. President Trump approved an emergency declaration for Florida a few hours ago. People are boarding up and getting out of Dodge while they still can. The storm is threatening 300 miles of America from Florida to Alabama. Other surrounding states are expecting strong storms. While some are trying to stick it out, others aren't taking any chances.
I lost my home from Hurricane Opal, and this is supposed to be really bad like that. So I'm not looking forward to it.
Store shelves are empty. The National Guard and Florida State Troopers are ready to help. I want to cut in for a moment now to take a live look outside Eppley Airfield. We see Air Force One has just touched down in Omaha. President Trump is landing here in Omaha. There you see Air Force One right there with the blue nose of that plane. Once he touches down here, he will get off the plane. He will then travel to the Mid-America Center for a rally there. We've been following this, and we have team coverage. We have reporter Maya Sines, anchor Craig Negrelli at the Mid-America Center, and Jake Wazakowski is at Eppley Airfield right now as we see Air Force One touch down. Alex McClune is also covering out in the rain the protesters who are at the Mid-America Center. So we do have team coverage. Let's go to Jake Wazakowski, who is at Eppley Airfield. Jake?
Yeah, Jenny, Air Force One just came through the cloud cover about a minute and a half ago, a little bit later than expected, but still pretty close to on time here as we see some of the secret security kind of staging where they're getting ready to go. The presidential motorcade has been here for about 30 minutes at this point, as we've been out here for that entire time. The rain has at least died down a little bit, but it's still just as windy as it's been since we came here. The airspace was cleared, so Air Force One could land. We saw a cargo plane leave about 15 minutes ago, if not a little bit longer at that point. But again, the president left Washington, D.C. at about 2:45 Central Time, expected to be here for about 2.5 hours before heading back. A busy day again for the president with that emergency declaration for Florida because of Hurricane Michael, and then as well as the announcement for lifting that the federal ban on summer sales of gasoline with high ethanol blends allow for those year-round sales. That's a big talking point that we've heard is going to be happening here in Omaha today. Iowa Senator Joni Ernst praising President Trump for that and how it will help Iowa farmers. The other thing that happened today on the president's unexpectedly, I guess, on the agenda was the president accepted Nikki Haley's resignation as the UN ambassador, and she will leave at the end of the year. But again, the motorcade is just to the west of us, to our right, as we see the plane coming over, taxiing over, getting ready to stop right in front of us. We're not in the commercial area of the airport. We are off at that point. We've seen the Omaha Police Department, some of the motorcycles coming up here, as well as Nebraska State Patrol, U.S. Secret Service, and the airport police as well. But again, this is a live look right now. We are at Eppley Airfield as Air Force One is here taxiing, getting ready for President Trump to come off the plane. They're going to pull out the Airport Authority Bridge shortly. If you guys can still hear me, this is the third time that I've actually been a part of a president landing in the Nebraska area. First was President George Bush in about 2006 to 2007, and then a few years ago, President Obama when he landed off at Air Force Base. President Bush was actually in Grand Island. The rain is starting to come down once again. But, yeah, so plane's going to turn back around. What usually happens for every time that I've been out at a presidential landing, usually they have dignitaries from the city, state, as well as county, whether it be a mayor or, any of the state representatives or congressmen. But I believe because of the rain and the windy conditions, there isn't really anybody here to greet the president as he's coming off the plane. There are a few people out here with the Secret Service, but outside of that, there's no elected officials that are waiting for the president to come off the plane at this point. But again, it's been raining and windy out here the entire time as the motorcade is getting ready to come around. We've got they're getting ready to put a couple of stops underneath the front wheels there. The Omaha Airport Police just went by here as well, and the motorcade is coming from the right at this point with Council Bluffs Police, Omaha Police Department. I saw the State Patrol as well earlier, just getting ready for the president to get off the plane and head over to the Mid-America Center at this point. So there's roughly 10 to 15 vehicles as part of the motorcade, with not only local police as security and as the escort, but there are press people that are on the plane as well. The traveling press are on the plane as well. They will be coming off and jumping into some of the vans, possibly in the back of the motorcade here. Some local press is going to be on there, print and television as well. Looking up some of the other people that I believe to be on the flight. Photographer Jeff Olson, they're asking you to kind of pan over right now. So some of the press are coming off of the back of the plane at this point. They're getting to open the front hatch of the plane, which is where the president will come off shortly. But we see a number of press coming out, many in rain jackets, as you know, it's still pouring, still very windy out here as well. Apparently, Representative David Young is on Air Force One, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, as well as Stephen Miller, just some of the people that are on Air Force One, as we see the hatch opening now and the stairs starting to come down.
All right, Jake, you were saying that because of the rainy conditions, we don't see that entourage of people waiting outside that we often see. Have you seen any dignitaries out there? We know Congressman Don Bacon was just speaking at the Mid-America Center. Any other people you've seen out there?
Not that I can tell at this point. Really, there hasn't been many people that have been waiting in the area that we are, except for local press as well as Secret Service. Typically, you know, on a nicer day, which is, you know, the other presidential arrivals that I've been to, we do see some of those, but I would believe it's most likely because of the weather situation. So, no, I mean, really, the only people that have been out here are Secret Service and the people waiting in the motorcade at this point.
All right, and you were saying that this is the back hatch behind the wing that we're seeing all the press getting out, but the front of the plane, that's where we will see the president leave the plane, correct?
Correct. That's the back hatch. We've seen pretty much all the press people have come out at this point. The national press pool has come out at that point, as well as some others getting into some of the vehicles behind the presidential motorcade up there that's awaiting the president coming out at this point. You know, once that happens, that's when we will see the president come out of Air Force One on this windy and cold day. It's getting windier and colder and rainier, you know, as we speak, off and on pretty much the entire time.
Yeah, we've seen during your live shots out there, it definitely looks to be a chilly one and brutal conditions really to be standing outside. So we have to believe they will escort the president very quickly from this location over to the Mid-America Center. In fact, our Craig Negrelli is at the Mid-America Center. Let's go to him with a look at what President Trump will see when he gets there. Craig?
Well, Jenny, I can tell you that the Mid-America Center is about 2/3 full. As I look around, for those who have been at the Mid-America Center, it's got a horseshoe shape to it. And you can see people have gathered on either side as well as behind the podium where President Trump will deliver his remarks. I noticed they passed out green hats to the people that are sitting right behind the podium saying, "Make our farmers great again." Major development in the last 2 days that President Trump issued a directive lifting the restrictions on E15, which is a gasoline ethanol blend. And by doing that, many people consider that a victory for farmers both in Iowa and Nebraska. We understand the president is getting off the plane and then will make his way over here to the Mid-America Center. He's expected to deliver remarks that are very farmer-friendly here in Iowa and, of course, the Omaha area. Let's go back to senior reporter Jake Wizakowski, who's at Epley.